Today on FlyWire, I have a trip report for you. This is the 7th installment of my Avgas series. Thanks for sticking with me. I know it's a bit complicated. It's a bit complicated subject, and it takes a while to tell the story. Okay. I've still got one or two more videos to go under this that cover this subject, but this one is about Gamy's engine test facility. So stick with me on FlyWire. Hi, I'm Scott Perdue, and today on FlyWire, we're going to see what an engine test stand is all about, okay? There have been a lot of words and acronyms being thrown around with strangely held opinions expressed on the thinnest of data, strongly held, not strangely, strongly held opinions, but expressed on the thinnest of data. My background is in physics, so as a baseline, I always want to see what the data is, what the original primary source is. I'm going to talk about material compatibility in another video, the next one or the one after. This one is all about engine run test data. And what are we testing exactly? Good question. Today we're going to look at four aviation fuels. 100 low lead is the baseline, G100 100 UL, 15% ETBE, and 25% ETBE. The IO550N turbocharged engine is going to be put through a controlled, stressful operating condition that is way harder than any of us normally treat our engines, and temperatures are going to be very near max power at and above the max operating temperature. So what we are searching for is the corners where the engine begins to eat itself, detonation. Okay, that's the limb fact here. You're going to see a couple of pistons that experience detonation during testing. Gamy pushes the engines hard to find out what those situations are, find out where detonation is going to happen, but those are going to be at the end. A couple of those pistons I'm going to show you. A couple of the acronyms that are being thrown around are ASTM and certified. Some of the players in the unleaded Avgas game have tried to imply that G100 UL has not been tested and it has not passed ASTM standard tests. That it's an untested excuse me, that it's an untested fuel. I think we're going to see that Gamy's test stand, the test facility, is more rigorous than any other out there. Okay, Gamy has a spec that is, they've developed a spec from this that is more stringent than the ASTM spec for 100 low lead. That spec even references all the subsidiary ASTM test methods, the requirements, the hoops, if you will, that are required to be passed to achieve an ASTM approval and issued a spec. Gamy just didn't use industry to do these tests. They did it on their own system. They used FAA inspectors to observe the test, and the FAA has certified the fuel. It is a certified fuel. The other players in the unleaded Avgas search have not passed most of the most stringent tests. One of the players admits the problems their fuel has. The other does not seem to be aware that their fuel has a problem at all. That is actually arguably a showstopper, a red line that candidate Avgas fuel cannot cross to work for all of GA. What I think is important for you to see today is how effective each of the four fuels are at avoiding detonation. Okay, it should be the plain for all to see by the end of the video. I just want you to see the data. Okay, I'm not going to talk about what I think about it and what it means until the last video in the series where I wrap everything up, okay? So basically I'm going to show you the data and you're going to see what you think. I wish I could just condense the whole topic into a short 10-minute video, but that doesn't even scratch the surface. Watch this video and you're going to see what the most important subject is in this whole discussion. I'm here with George Brawley at Gamy, and we're at the test stand. He's going to tell us a little bit about the background of the test stand and why it's here. It's probably one, I think this is even more instrumented than people like Continental or Lycoming, et cetera, have. Yes.
So we call this the Carl Goulet Memorial Engine Test Facility. We did that because it was inspired by Carl, who was at the time in 1999, 98, retired from Continental. He was working as DER. He helped us do the GAMI ejector project. And one day I was up flying around with him at 25,000 feet, and we were talking about engine stuff, and we got on the ground, and he pulled me aside, and we were collecting data with an instrumented airplane. And he said, "You guys are really good at instrumentation and software stuff like that." He said, "Y'all need to build an engine test stand." "Oh gosh, that's expensive, you know." He said, "Well, you really need to do it because you won't believe how much you'll learn." Boy, was he right. So a year later, we got this built. Unfortunately, Carl, who was sick, had passed away, but his wife and son came. We dedicated this to Carl and had it up and operational in 2000. And we've learned an enormous amount about engines and engine operation. And we could not have done the fuel project without it. I don't think anybody can do it without having their in-house engine test capability, other than spending enormous amounts of money, but having it right there. The beauty of this was when we got started on the G100, our fundamental philosophy was different from what ASTM and everybody had been pursuing for 20 years in their totally unsuccessful effort to find a replacement. Their goal was to find a fuel that met the existing specification for 100 low lead, except it just didn't have any lead in it. Well, that was guaranteed to fail, and everybody that was involved knew it was, but it frankly was a public excuse to make sure they never found a solution. So our approach was, let's find a fuel that really works, and then let's write a specification that sets the boundary conditions on the fuel that works so that anybody can produce it. So we set out to find a fuel that works, and the way we did that is we've got a lot of blending components because we'd been doing testing for 3 major oil companies for 10 years at that time, 8 years. And we had some ideas on what could and wouldn't, more importantly, what didn't work. And so we started we could make a drum of fuel, put it up on a rack like this right here, run it at 11 o'clock in the morning after we made it at 9 or 10 o'clock, test it, look at the data, and the next morning at 8 o'clock start over and make another drum that was different and test it, and our cycle time was basically 1 day. Sometimes we'd make 2 or 3 different variations and test them all the same day and start over and do it again the next day. So it was that ability, that cycle time, and the ability to evaluate it on a real aircraft high-performance turbocharged engine with high compression within that development process. And within 8 months of when we started, we had a fuel that works. It's essentially the same fuel there's 8,000 gallons over in this tank right over here. And then it took us 14 years to get it certified. That's the way I guess life goes with the FAA. So that's the background. We'll walk in here in a minute and look at the arrangement inside the test cell. But this gives you some background on the capability that we have.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Let's go inside.
The base engine in this case, is a Continental IO550N. It's nominally 8.5 to 1, but it frankly is typically 8.7 to 1 as they're delivered. It's the normally aspirated engine that we developed the turbo system for the Cirrus. So it's a high compression engine that has a turbo system on a high compression engine. And because we have a direct drive for the wastegate, we can set the manifold pressure any place we want it. And so we can run this engine at its rated 310 horsepower, or we can run it at 330 horsepower, or when we did the certification test for detonation testing with the FAA sitting in the control room that we'll see here in a minute, at the end of the testing, the FAA guy on site, his name was Kevin Marks, he said, "Okay, we're done." And I said, "Well, Kevin, there's one item up here on our matrix of 47 tests or whatever that is optional, and we haven't done that optional item." He said, "Well, you don't have to do that one." And I said, "Yeah, but we really ought." Well, the optional item was to try and destroy the engine by running the manifold pressure up, see if we could destroy it on G100 UL. He said, "George, you really don't have to do that. I don't want you to hurt the engine." I said, well, I tell you what, Kevin, the FAA is here, the engine's conformed to the FAA requirements, the instrumentation is conformed, the software is conformed, the fuels are conformed. There's never going to be a better time. It's your call, whatever you want to do. I said, all right, Lorelei, give me 37 inches of manifold pressure. So Lorelei, that was running the wastegate controller, gave me 37. We did the classic FAA required, mandated, it's regulatory gobbledygook. It's under 14 CFR 33.47, where you do a fuel mixture lean down from the full rich rating while the engine's running at red line everything. And so we ran it down, no detonation. And we're running G100 UL. And so I turned around and said, Laura, I said, give me 39 and a half inches. So she does. And we do it again. And this FAA guy sitting there just almost he doesn't even want to, he's kind of halfway watching the computer screens. And, we're waiting for a disaster. And so I turned around to Laura. I said, Laura, give me 42 inches of manifold pressure. She starts playing with it. And I said, no, Laura, you've only got about 41. I want 42. Finally, she points up there, and there's a little meter on there that shows the position of the wastegate, and the wastegate was 100% fully closed. She said, George, you can't get any more. So we were sitting at 41 and a half, 42 inches manifold pressure. Sometimes it'd bounce up to 43, but that was all we could get. Well, the engine was running at a measured 380 actual measured brake horsepower, but because we had all the temperatures elevated, corrected to standard day at sea level, it was about 414 horsepower, which was about 133% of its rated power. And we ran the test, and there was absolutely no hint of any detonation of any kind. And so that concluded the 2 days of testing that the FAA was here and witnessed on this fuel. And I've got a nice plot of that, which I can share with you if you want to use it for an insert or something. You can do that.
I'd like that.
So that's the engine on this side. We've got another bay over here, and this has got a Navajo Chieftain J2BD on it on the other side. See these little servos right here?
Yeah.
Have any idea what those are for?
No, I don't, but I saw the solenoids for the fuel in here.
It turns the fuel off so that the cleanup time for the fuel is the time it takes the fuel line from here to here to flush out. Okay? At 20 gallons an hour, that's 15, 20 seconds at most, okay, to clean it up nicely. It's really more like 5 to 10 seconds, practically. But when we were getting ready to do the FA test, they've got these rigorous requirements that the hottest cylinder has to be within 10 degrees of 460 degrees, red line. If it's a Lycoming, it has to be within 10 degrees of 500 degrees, okay? And that all the other cylinders have to be nearly as hot. Well, with air-cooled engines, that's nearly impossible, okay, to get them all together like that. So we played around putting baffle shit. The other thing was we wanted to run it at some really high power settings, and the cold air that comes from the blower on the roof that comes down through that tube, the ambient air, we didn't have enough air to really keep it cool if we were really running it out past rated power. So we've got what we call little piccolo tubes about this long. They've got little bitty tiny holes drilled in them, and these are water spray bars on top of the cylinder heads. And these are all on proportional integral derivative control loops, and they're looking at the individual cylinder, and we can set the individual cylinders to be any temperature we want them to be. And these will sit there and cool them or not cool them accordingly to keep the cylinder heads tightly grouped in terms of cylinder head temperature.
That's,
as far as I know, nobody in the world's got anything like that on an aircraft test facility.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
It's a Home Depot jury rig, but it works real good. So here is the wastegate, and this is an electronic controller for the wastegate, so we can set the manifold pressure any place we want it. We're not constrained by the typical hardware that's associated with a wastegate. We can set the manifold pressure any place we want it from a slider inside the control room. These things down here, these metal lines, they go over here, and they go outside. They go out to the tanks over there on the far side, and they bring fuel in here, which then comes up and goes through those servos. And they're all double valve. There's a valve out there and there's a valve here. So when we switch fuel off on number 3, the number 3 valve out there goes off and the number 3 valve here goes off. In case one of them leaks, we don't cross-contaminate fuel. Air in the line from 5 to about 10 right here would normally be characterized as the onset of detonation. Anything above where the 2X is right there, anything above that is at or past limiting detonation, and it's certainly, each one of these hacks is one revolution between each one of these hacks. That's a top dead center hack right there. And then the leading edge of these black traces is when the actual spark in the actual cylinder takes place. You see more black dots, but you occasionally see a blue dot, which is a blue trace, and some of the other colors too. Now, this is damage relevant detonation that you're seeing above my hand right there.
Right, above the pink line.
Yeah, well, roughly right now, yeah. But and this is unacceptable detonation at this level in general for a detonation test with the FAA. But you're seeing a lot of that, and occasionally you're seeing these guys bounce way up here. So we're going to switch it back to 100 low lead right now.
Good.
Ready?
Yeah, I've done it.
Part of that we're doing to try and protect the integrity of the engine. Don't want to keep doing that for a long time.
Right. Yeah, it was getting pretty far out.
I'm going to take a screen capture down here. See if I picked it up a little bit.
It's saying here are multiple fuels. Have that off?
Someone said it.
I'm sorry, I didn't have it off.
Okay.
So there was a module fuel in there. We'll do this again.
So that was, all of this is mixed 100 low lead
Yeah.
and ETBE.
Some of it is. It's mostly ETBE, 50%. It'll get real obvious here real quick.
Yeah, it's starting to clean up now.
All right, so Lorelei, let's switch back to 15%.
Okay. Ready? Go.
I didn't get it fully turned off over there. So you can see it switching right here. See a little air in the line. And now it's showing 15% ETBE based Avgas.
So this right here, hiccup was the switch.
That was the hiccup.
So now we've got the point cloud
So
showing.
this was cleanup time. This was still 100 low lead.
Yeah.
And now it's all cleaned up and you're seeing the point cloud. And you can see the detonation traces occasionally here.
So that would be 3, cylinder 3.
Number 3 is the worst. It's got the black dots, and you see more black dots, but you occasionally see a blue dot, which is a blue trace, and some of the other colors too. Now, this is damage relevant detonation that you're seeing above my hand right there.
Right, above the pink line.
Yeah, well, roughly right now, yeah. But and this is unacceptable detonation at this level in general for a detonation test with the FAA. But you're seeing a lot of that, and then occasionally you're seeing these guys that bounce way up here. So we're going to switch it back to 100 low lead right now. And they know that's bad, and that's good, and that's good.
Yeah, this is an enormous amount of data to produce and to figure it out. And,
A third grader can understand this.
and what I really like about this is it shows it graphically instead of you got a data set you got to sift through.
So, how many dots do you think there are between the left side and the right side?
In 100 seconds?
About 100 seconds.
Yeah.
There's 12,000 dots.
12,000.
All right, let's try the 15%. 25%.
25. Do you want to move it over? So it'll.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yep.
Ready? You already turned it on?
No, I did now.
Okay, there you go. Okay, there you go. Okay.
And this is 25% ETB.
Yeah, it'll come up labeled that way.
There we go. And we have G100 UL we can try?
Pardon?
Do we have G100 UL we can try?
Yes, we can. Let's go back to the 100 low lead because it'll be clean, and then we'll start and do the same thing with G100.
Okay.
So let's go back to 100 low lead.
All right, go. All right, go.
So you'll notice that this is up here. It's not quite as bad as the 15%.
Yeah, I noticed the difference.
But it's still nowhere
fair.
near, acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm taking screen captures. I guess I'll do.
Okay. And we can put G100 on now?
Okay, so let's try some G100.
Turn that switch on.
Yep.
Switch on. Okay. Okay.
We may get a hiccup with this too.
Little air in the lines.
Yeah. It's good now. It's good.
It had something in the fuel line, I think.
Yeah, this.
Did you do something up there? Something up there?
I was just pointing at it.
No, it's not the torch. No, it's not the torch. There's hiccups up there, and I just want to make sure.
Having troubles keeping the fuel flow up.
Ah, okay. Ah.
So this was an extra lean area?
Yeah, it was just air and whatnot.
Yeah.
Now with G100, you'll see some of this stuff down here, but that's stochastic stuff. There's nothing down there that's detonation relevant. And when you look at those combustion events, you can see them here, there's nothing really going on. And it's really an artifact of the measurement because of some differences in the fuel chemistry. So let's go to the 15%.
All right, you ready? All right,
Yeah.
ready? Go. Go.
What's the fuel flow now? 23 gallons an hour. So.
So you see some really ugly stuff now showing up. So let's go back to the G100.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Go. Okay, ready? Go.
So is it? Are these random? Is it one side or is
That's
it?
the
I know
the first 6 combustion events about once a second.
Okay, but is it? We're seeing detonation. Is it?
It's not detonation. That's combustion instability.
Instability, right? But the point cloud's correlated. So
It comes from those.
yeah. So what I'm asking though is it correlated with left side, right side, odd and even cylinders?
No.
No.
Number 3 is often the worst, not always. But we've got a particularly long fuel line, and the cleanup time is pretty long when we go to G100. So you can see it settling off down here now,
Yeah.
where it's supposed to be.
Now for a detonation test, you would do these, but you wouldn't switch it back and forth.
We can, but we frequently don't. What you do with a detonation test, and I'll show you here. Now, I'm going to make it pretty darn rich to kill the detonation.
So my understanding is for ETBE, you need about 15%.
At least 10% more.
Yeah.
And that means you got to reset all the fuel servos. So what we're going to do with the fuel flow up here, and we've got some of it out, is I'm just going to progressively hit the decrease button here, and I'm going to progressively lean the mixture. Cylinder head temperatures are not hot enough.
Okay. Turn up the set point of the CHD.
That's on 430, 435.
IAT at 120, 125.
125.
You want it warmer or colder?
Yeah, a little bit warmer.
44. Bring the CHDs back up.
Get back down to about 430. Detonation pretty sensitive.
He's decreasing up top.
Okay, so all I'm going to do is start to progressively lean the mixture.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get richer again to start. A whole lot richer. Try and kill it off. So we're running with a brake specific that's 20% above a normally aspirated engine max fuel flow. Okay? And we're still seeing some detonation stuff there. Okay? So I'm just going to start, you can follow the red line, it'll go down as we go. And I'm going to start to decrease the fuel flow. Starting now. Look what's happening to your detonation.
Yeah, it's increasing significantly.
Now, we're at a full rich mixture setting for a bunch of normally aspirated engines right now.
That's significant. This is full rich mixture at cruise.
This would be a full rich takeoff. We're now down to
Yeah. 26,
about a cruise mixture setting right here.
21. Yeah, 21.
It's still detonating. Go to the 15%.
Okay.
think the changeover.
Yeah. So 15% is actually worse.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's cleaning up. But everything you see from here on up has got the potential to cause the CHTs to run away and then destroy the cylinders.
Right.
No. Need to bring the temperature up.
This is
I don't know.
Back to 100 low lead right quick.
Okay. Flip on the switch. Ready? Go.
Again, the difference is fairly dramatic.
It is true. So this is light detonation?
Yeah, light to moderate, but a lot of this is because the cylinder head temperature got pretty hot on this thing, got up past red line in connection with the detonation. But then, yeah, that happened at some point during the process. Don't know that wasn't already there, that little chip.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it gets to heavy detonation and the CHT really starts to run away, you get something like this.
That's a significant amount of erosion.
So then what's the consequence of when this starts to happen?
It's all bad.
What starts happening is gases go past
Yeah, you pressurize the crankcase.
and the oil goes out the breather, and you run out of oil 10 or 15 minutes later, even if the engine's still running.
But not for long. So is that usually the failure mode, is pressurize the oil out of the crankcase?
Well,
and then it comes apart, or?
No. What happens? No, this happened while the engine still had lots of oil left, but it was venting oil. Okay, but there was still, plenty of oil in the engine. This is a result of the cylinder head temperature getting really hot, the aluminum getting soft, and the detonation transitioning probably into pre-ignition. That's almost certainly the mechanism for this.
So detonation creating hot spots that causes pre-ignition.
Yeah, and you
then
probably got little pieces of aluminum bouncing around inside there that have been eroded off over here.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think we cracked a ring.
Pretty ugly.
But yeah, the aluminum
cylinder is probably pretty ugly.
Oh yeah, it's the aluminum scraping against the cylinder head there from the pressure.
And when I was in high school, I used to race go-karts.
Yeah.
With two-stroke engines.
Yeah.
And you're running like crazy, man, and you get a lot of power out of it, which is actually not a good thing because it will run like crazy right before it goes, whoop, and this melts to the melts to the cylinder wall.
Well, there you have it. Real-world test data in the most stressful conditions possible for the engine. Even the best engine monitors out there pale in comparison to the data collection capability of the Gamy engine test facility. It allows them to flirt with detonation without blowing the engine up, okay, with multiple different fuels, temperatures, pressures, etc. If this happens to you in the air, it's going to progress into catastrophic failure in seconds. Very little notice, and that is why detonation is such a big deal. You're not going to know it until it blows, okay? You're too late. Now you're a glider. My next video will be either the G100 UL report from using it in my Bonanza or my simulated interview with Lyondell VP Racing, so probably have 3 more videos, I guess. I haven't decided yet. Plus, I've got Oshkosh coming up, so maybe I'm going to see you there. In other words, I got a lot on my plate. Time is an issue here. Great to be retired. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on FlyWire.